I see Ivy over there with them fresh braids.
You know. It's summertime.
I see you, girl. I see you.
It's summertime, you know. Shout out to the plug.
Shout out to the plug. Shout out to the plug. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Chris, COSeezy Strong, and we back with another one, Pursuing Our Passion. Shout out to the sponsor, Yellow Brick, for making us all come together. If you're new here, you might want to check them out. Yellowbrick.co is the site to see all the online programs that they have to offer. For my music heads in here, because we know Ivy is a big music head, y'all definitely might want to check out the Music Industry Essentials program. Got a lot of dope stuff in there for you that you don't even have to leave your home to check out. They got music insiders like Ryan Leslie and a whole bunch of other experts that can school you on your path to success in music, just like our girl Ivy. Now, Ivy, before we get going, I want to get a little bit serious real quick, because I won't get this started without letting people know about what's going on and making sure that we use this platform to continue to spread awareness for it. So before we get started, definitely want to make sure that we say Breonna Taylor's name, because they still have not arrested those cops who killed her. We demand justice for her, for George Floyd, Elijah McClain, Ahmaud Arbery, and the long list of other Black people who have been wrongfully murdered by the police. We've been doing a bunch of different stuff, like taking down statues and removing names and trying to do songs and all of this stuff, but we want to see police brutality laws passed. That's it. Everything else that comes along with that is cool, but right now our fight is about the police brutality. So we're gonna continue to keep banging y'all in the head until that happens, man, because like I said before, we demand justice. I had to get that out. I had to.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like no conversation until justice has been served should begin with anything else, but
you know what it is. You're out there on the front lines too.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, shout out to the sponsor, Yellow Brick, for making this all happen. This wouldn't happen without them. So y'all know what it is. Yeah. What's up?
Amazing soundbite. I love it.
We got to. I'm trying to get in my DJ bag like Ivy over there, boy.
Oh gosh.
But yeah, my guest today is the one, the greatest DJ. Yes, get your vibe going. She is she's only the second female DJ ever in the NBA. She reps Dallas and Kenya. And she's also the DJ on the radio at K104 out there in Dallas. But we're just not gonna refer to her as a female DJ, because she is a DJ, and that's how we're gonna refer to her. So her name is Ivy Awino, but we like to refer to her as Poizon Ivy the DJ.
Yes,
y'all know
sir.
what it is.
What's up, homie?
Show some love.
I gotta keep my dance PG, right? Like,
turn up.
I didn't know how long you're gonna go into the record, so I was like, let me, I'm not joking.
Ivy.
Yes, sir. How are you?
What's bracking? How you doing, man?
Oh my goodness, I am wonderful. I am blessed. I am healthy. I am happy. So all things considered, I have no complaints. I'm happy to see you. It has been so long since we've seen each other and spoken. So
last time I saw you, last time I seen you in person was AllStar weekend in Charlotte.
Was it Charlotte?
Yeah. We
okay.
Together on the airplane. I seen you, was like, yeah, I'm lit. I'm about to be doing this, that, and that. I'm like, girl, I'm hyped. I already knew you was lit.
And I was over there like, okay, here we go. Everybody's always like, you gonna go kick it at AllStar? And I'm like, I'm gonna go work at AllStar, but sure, I'm gonna let you have it.
Word. So just to let y'all know, we're dealing with a big DJ right here, man. This girl is so dope. Yeah, she's repping the Dallas Mavericks. She does her thing out in Dallas. But Ivy, normally I got this spot on the show where I'm a music head.
Yes.
So it's the show that it's the segment that I got called Name That Tune.
Oh, goodness.
I wanted to kick it off right from the beginning. Now, this is the part of the show where I play a piece of the song and you have to finish the lyrics of that tune to see where your music knowledge is.
See, we gonna talk about it. All right, sounds good. Oh, man.
Now, look.
I don't say nothing, but all right.
You're not kicking with your boy and not drop no tunes, you feel me?
Lord have mercy. I gotta finish the lyrics. I can't just name the song or the artist. I gotta finish the lyrics.
These lyrics. You play music all day, every day. You better know it.
Oh, man. All right, let's see if I do know it.
Here we go.
All right.
That means we getting started.
Okay.
Let's see if you can name this tune.
All right.
If we all agree that we're equal as people, then why can't we see what is equal?
Oh my goodness. You know what? Okay, I can't even lie. I don't even know who that is, bro. I literally, hold on, play one more again. I'm not even gonna waste your time. I'm gonna listen to it.
Agree that we're equal as people, then why can't we see what is equal?
That's the hook. It's a song by her.
I
know you know this one.
It's I Can't Breathe. Right?
I can't breathe.
Let's go.
Oh,
okay.
Listen. First of all, I only heard that song about twice, but I knew I liked it, and I definitely just dropped it in the interview not too long ago. I was like, okay.
She know this song, bro. She definitely know this song.
All right.
Now that song plays a big part in what's going on in our world today. So I was hyped to see that you did select that song, and I wanted to ask you why that message of her talking about how she can't breathe and just her speaking for the Black people, why it's so important for you.
Well, because first of all, I love her and what she represents as an artist. Like being a woman in this industry sometimes it's tough, right? Because you have to equal parts everything, you know what I mean? And not just a woman. Like it sounds when you are that, sometimes you're all types of slandered, victimized, pigeonholed, and everything in between for it. You know what I mean? And her as an artist who has endured and experienced that. A lot of people, when they see musicians, and I feel like this day and age of music fans is different. I knew my favorite artist from the jump, from the jump, you know, and I think a lot of people get introduced to somebody where they meet them on playlists or on social media, whatever. But her has been around for a long time, but she just didn't really have success as the old her. So they reinvented her. And then you saw the her that we met with the glasses and not revealing her identity and whatever else. And then all of a sudden she popped, you know? Yeah. And so I've also been excited for her journey the other way, because now she is a little bit more transparent and a little bit more, I guess you could say accessible, you know, and then also vulnerable, which is something that initially she sang about, but she sang about it veiled, you know, so that kind of masks a little bit of the vulnerability. But for her to really just on this topic, you know, and her voice is amazing, and just the words and the questions and the lyricism, and I love that she plays an instrument. So it was equal parts the message of the song, but equal parts the messenger as well. Yeah.
Killing it.
Yeah.
Shout out to her.
Yeah.
So you were born in Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get into my African sports bag, bro.
Yes.
How your Kenyan upbringing has helped you be successful in your career today?
Yeah, man. You know, man, Kenya, Nairobi specifically, is a melting pot. And early on in my life, I was exposed to a whole lot. You know what I mean? Whether it be music, whether it be just, exposure to Western culture, but equal parts exposure to like, local culture. And I thank God for the family that I was born into. They fostered my love of all things arts and sports. I mean, I just think it's, here I go being braggadocious, but I just think it's in our DNA to be great people. I mean, some of the world's greatest people are Kenyan born. You know what I'm saying? Like, not only Kenyan born, but, okay, so Baba wasn't Kenyan born, but, his dad was. So that counts, But no, I mean, I think a lot of it is just, our and it's something that's similar to not only African heritage, but and I count everybody from that bloodline. So West Indian people, like anybody who stand from the continent, like it's a pursuit of excellence. You know what I mean? Black excellence, and that doesn't, again, it transfers to all Black people because, again, we all know where we come from. So it's in the name. It's just that some of our parents, boy, have a different way of driving that home. Yeah, all of that. But also, just I think as I've grown older and matured, it's understanding how blessed and fortunate I am to have the opportunities that I have, because it's not the same, not for people at home in Nairobi and all over Kenya, but all over the continent as well. So it's so much a huge part of me. And I hope that's where I end up, you know what I mean, is serving that population. So
well, girl, you've been killing it, and we're gonna get to that later.
Right.
I have a question for you, and I want to ask you.
Yeah.
What was your dream? You feel me? Big tune right there. Big tune.
You digging in a craze, COSeezy. Dang, okay.
Oh, man, this music knowledge up here go crazy.
Oh my goodness, I love this. I love it. All right.
What was your dream when you were a young girl in Nairobi?
Woo! Yo, I still have the craziest dreams daily. Don't like melatonin be messing me up, but even aside from the melatonin, boy, like I've always been a big dreamer. The one thing I can say is I'm very risk averse, apparently, because I always wanted a really risky job. So, and I don't like repetition. It's crazy because I don't like repetitious careers and jobs. Like I need every day at work to look different. So I wanted to be a firefighter. I wanted to be a military pilot. Just because I thought these things were so cool. I love adrenaline. At some point I wanted to be a singer. Like I thought I was gonna be in my Destiny's Child bag, I started playing piano when I was 5, so music was always an option. But very early on, I knew that in whatever I did, I would lead. I've always wanted to be a leader. So, and I wanted to be an exec. I just never knew in what realm or in what field, but I always knew that I would be the coolest exec ever. You know what I mean? And yeah, I've explored a lot of different things. I wanted to be an A&R at some point. Just I love discovery and development. So a lot of my earlier passions revolved around things that would allow me to do that. So, and just really like I wanted to just go overseas and abroad, and I never thought like it was a dream. That was a dream. Coming to America was a dream. That sounds funny, but it was,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, you mentioned playing the piano, and I know that grandma's hands were the ones that delivered that to you, right?
I love this. Every part of me is just loving this.
I'm here.
Everything. Oh my gosh. Yes.
So,
Lord, grandma's hands.
can you tell me about your relationship with grandma and just about how that situation went when she gave you that piano when you were 5?
Yes, I'm actually going to go see her right after we wrap up.
Word. Tell grandma set what up.
I will definitely do that, man. You've got to meet grandma hopefully at some point in time. But my grandmother is probably the single most instrumental person in my life. She was widowed very early. Her husband passed away when she was pregnant with my mother. And she has been the rock ever since. My mother, of course, got pregnant with me very early, and well, she was 21, but back then it's like, anything outside of a marriage is like taboo. But she, held my mom down. She, made sure that, and I only came to find this out later on in life, but, my mom gave birth in a quality hospital and I had everything. And like, she sacrificed a lot to bring me into this world, in the best way that they possibly could. Not only that, but my mother, she encouraged my mother to pursue her life, you know what I mean? And not to let the fact that she had a child young, hold her down. So she let my mom went to South Africa, to school in South Africa when I was young. My mom left when I was like 4 or 5, and my grandmother has been my most constant. And she raised me up until, hell now, I'm named after her. Funny fact, my last name is not actually a family name. I don't think I've ever told anybody this publicly, but
let's go exclusive.
Yes, exclusive. So my last name it will not lead you back to the Owino family. There is no such thing. Like, well, at least not ours. My last name is my grandmother's middle name because my mother didn't want to give me my dad's family last name at the time. My daughter is named after her, so Kiani Rose. Rose is my grandmother's first name. So yeah, she bought me a baby grand piano when I was 5 years old, man. Like I always tell her, up until, I never thought that I had any troubles in the world when I was a child because she masked it all. She made me feel like we had a perfect life despite everything, I love her to death, man, literally, and everything I do is for her and because of her. So
that's dope. And shout out to Jeanette in the chat. She said it's awesome to have that family support. And
can't do without it.
So, at 9, to America. And you come to Dallas.
Yo, yes. And here's another funny story that only just got published yesterday for the first time. We were supposed to come when I was like 7 or 8, but my first visa got denied. My grandmother's got accepted, mine got denied. So a lot of people always wonder why I feel so strongly about immigration issues and immigration reform and a bunch of other stuff pertaining to immigration. Is because I've seen what doing it the right way looks like and feels like and all of that, and it still didn't work, So anyway, I told my friends that I wasn't gonna be going back to school, only to show up at school on the first day of school.
Oh man.
Because folks ain't had no visa.
Like, yo, I'm here right now. I thought you were supposed to be in like Texas.
Yo, let me tell you, when my mama had written me a letter, and she was like, back when folks were still writing letters, and she was like, don't say anything. You never say anything until the deal is done. I learned my lesson early, right? But yeah, so my mother's brothers had moved to Dallas in the late 80s. So she had joined them in what was it, like 97? Yeah, 97, 96, or 95, something like that. And so finally got through the paperwork, got approved, and it was time. So we flew in literally December 31st, 1999. Now, I don't know if y'all remember, but that was Y2K. And my little 9-year-old self, all I thought was, you know what? If the world ends, at least it's going to end, and I'm in America. All right? So the world probably won't end there. But it was crazy. I mean, like, landing here and seeing my family, my mom in years that I hadn't seen in years. And, it's just like, thought there was gonna be like no dirt or no soil, like, you know what I'm saying, like just really clean and just really, all those expectations. I felt like Hollywood was supposed to be right there, even though I didn't know it was in California, like, all those.
Yep.
But yeah, and so it began. So my Dallas journey began.
So how did you, not speaking the language and dealing with the stereotypes of everybody thinking whatever they think about Africa, like, how did you deal with that? Because as a young girl, like, that could be discouraging, like that could kind of put you down, but you didn't let that do that.
No. And I mean, okay, so I grew up speaking English, Swahili, and Luo all at the same time. However, granted, it's different because, you have an accent. Kids, it's the grand introduction that every new teacher gives you that does you like the worst disservice ever. Hi, friends, meet our new friend Ivy, and Ivy is from Africa. And it's like, bro,
you don't got to do all that.
You don't have to do all that. You know what I'm talking about?
You're making the situation.
Facts. You know what I'm saying? So, it was, first of all, it was a lot because immediately, you want to talk about systemic oppression. They were like, yeah, we're going to get her started in ESL. And my uncle had told my mom, like, ahead of time, like, that's the first thing you have to make sure they don't do. English is not my second language, you know what I mean? All three of those languages are my first language. So don't allow them to start placing these labels and whatever on her. That was one. So moms was in there like, no. So I went into regular class, and the kids are innocent. Their ignorance is innocent. Okay. And a lot of it was, the how did you get here? And did you live in a hut? And whatever other questions. And, my mom started teaching me, small defense mechanisms and coping, not defense, but coping, make them laugh about it, but also use it to educate, those who are willing to be educated. Those who are poking fun at you, then you just let them, can continue. But it was cool. I mean, I went to a predominantly like white school, which was hard because you always seek to float towards those who look like you, but there weren't that many people. It was only one boy, Corey, and we're still friends to this day. So it was a lot. I used to go home and practice losing my accent, which is why nobody ever knows where I'm from these days, because I sound like I'm from a million different places. And like I came, so the African braids, right? Like, how so my braids were getting old and stuff, like, and I thought it was funny. Like, I started to cope being a class clown, and like, they're like, oh my gosh, your hair is coming out. And I'm like, yeah. Like, I got in trouble for pulling out my braid. Like, it was just all types of stuff. And then eventually I fit in. I found who I was, and, I owned who I was. And thank God again to having just supportive parents and family, because that ish can be really tough for a child to navigate and really mess you up for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I can imagine, but you held it down now. And not only did you hold it down, but you were in the basketball world, and you was the ball kid for the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, man. Life got really cool at about 12. Like, I remember we used to, how they used to have cable with the satellite dishes and stuff? Yeah, and depending on how your neighbor positioned their satellite dish, you would get their signals too. Yep. Because we have cable, so like I remember watching UPN 21 one day, and there was a commercial about hoop camp, and all I remember is hearing like, and the ball kids will be chosen from this, and that was my only motivation to go to hoop camp. It was not basketball. I want to make this clear. Never wanted to be a hooper at any point in my life, right? So I went. It was cool. I did what I had to do. Then it came time to apply for being a ball kid, and the age cutoff was 13. And here goes classic Ivy. So I'm not 13, but I really feel like I should apply anyway, because I'm 12 and a half, right? You know what I mean? And I made a good argument for myself, and Mr. Guy let me apply, and I was a ball kid for 6 years.
Whoa, you were vet.
Yeah.
You were low.
Oh, yeah. By the time I was out of there, I was running things,
Right. That's what's up, yo. That's what's up. I brought it up for a reason because we're gonna get back to the whole how that comes back to play it later. But it was just dope to find out that you been doing this for the Mavs.
Bro, I've been walking them halls for a long time.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So
yeah,
grow up a little bit.
Yeah.
You like me, share with us for bringing people together and controlling the vibe through music. We love music. So I want you to tell me, you feel me? I know you feel me over there.
Hey, you gonna have to listen. I don't know if it's the Knicks or the Warriors. I don't know what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to get you a sound directing job because you're killing the game right now.
I let them, and it's either or. You name it. Knicks, Warriors, Nets, you name it. I'm with it. But you had the sounds all crazy at Marquette, and people used to come through to your spot. And if I understand correctly, like you used to hold it down at these parties, right? So, like you used to got the job at the radio station on campus, and the homie Josh shows you the DJ game. Can you walk me through all of this? I think so. Before the parties came, Josh came, right?
Oh man, we gotta get this recorded and show it to Josh, man. Shout out to let me tell you, real talk. Now, this is the importance of, and just to kind of like obviously be serious for a second, but this is the importance of, I wouldn't even necessarily call him like a mentor per se. He is in a sense, but he's like Mr. Miyagi to me. You know what I mean? And when you love your craft so much, I think that you're responsible for finding somebody else to plant that seed in, so that seed can continue to grow. And hopefully through that action, they'll pay it forward and it'll be a ceaseless act. Josh, on top of being my frat brother, on top of just being a cool DJ in the city who was killing the game, really, really loves DJing. Like that's his thing, and then look at me now, you know what I mean? So I used to I was the only child for a long time. My first sibling wasn't born until I was 16. So every room I ever had was the gathering spot, like from the jump. And it's always been that way my whole life. So when I moved into my first like off-campus apartment, what started happening? Started throwing parties. And I wasn't DJing them. People were just at my house. So Josh would come over with his turntables, and do his thing. And it was lit, it was really, really lit. And one day I actually found this video not so long ago. And I remember telling him like, yo, I want to learn how to DJ. Not gonna lie to you, I may have been inebriated and I may have been joking, but the thing is, look, let's just keep it real. Like, listen, we keep it real, right? Right. So why that's pertinent is because even in my inebriated state, the next day, homie showed up and dropped them off. And I was like, oh, all right, they're here now. And not only did he drop them off, but he didn't tell me what to do. So he was like, if you want to know, you got to figure it out. So, and anybody who knows like turntables, you got to ground the wires. Otherwise, your record's going to be spinning backwards and the sound going to be backwards and whatever else. Right. I'm saying, are you waiting up for you? Say you learning that right now?
Well, you teaching me right now.
Oh, yeah. So you see, I got, that's not like my little 12s. Only with the 12s though. So anyway, I went through the whole thing, but he really took me under his wing. So once I figured out the home setup, I figured out mixing and blending. Now, mind you, I didn't even have a computer. So not only did he leave me all his equipment, his speakers, mixer, and his computer with all his music. Never known somebody to trust anybody with his life like that. You know what I mean? So then he started taking me to parties. Obviously, the Greek circuit was super popping back then. And he would, he wouldn't make me do anything. I would do it out of the sheer desire to have an opportunity to learn and watch him do his thing, So whether it was carrying equipment in, he'd be like, no, I got it. I'm like, no, I'm going to do this, right? It's how I can pay you for everything you've been giving me. So carrying equipment in, because that would allow me to set it up at the party. You know what I mean? So I could do it at my house, but what happens when you break it down and you need to set it up again? So I do that. Once I get set up, he let me play a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 or 5, whatever. Never let me get past half the party. Actually got to a point where we would fight. At half the party, he would be like, oh, no. And if anybody knows anything about that, it sucks because you've built up the party, but you can't, you know what I'm saying? So
you can't take the top off.
You can't take the top off, bro. I was like, come on. So what I do, I grab the mic. I'm like, well, shit, I ain't going nowhere. I'm already here. So grab the mic. That's how I kind of got my emceeing, hosting skills, you know, mic skills, you know, working and whatever. And bro, that was the birth of that. And before you knew it.
That's crazy. So, yo. Big shout out to Josh. Yo, Josh, what up, man? Thank you for delivering Poizon Ivy, the DJ, to us.
Oh, man.
Because from what I understand, y'all was throwing some big bashment party.
That was the vibes, bro. Like, big time.
25,000 people. That's crazy. Like, where is this, and how does that even go down?
Okay, so what happens is I get to learn how to DJ. You know me, you can't have a little bit. You want it all, right?
Whoa.
So I start on top of having the college radio show at WMUR. So that kind of exposed me to all of the local artists. What I didn't realize is like the local artists did not have a circuit through which to like, you know, spread their music because, you know, mainstream wasn't really messing with everybody. And, you know, so I started to kind of be the go-to. So one of the biggest artists at the time, one of my best friends, really good friends, an artist named Prof, he was popping, like, you know, and I was like, Prof, yo, let me be your DJ. And I was totally, again, it's always me shooting shots, knowing that I really mean what I mean, but, you know, if he say no, I ain't gonna be my feelings, you know?
Yeah.
So he was performing, he was slated to open for Wiz Khalifa at Summerfest, which is one of the biggest music festivals, like, in the world, and it's in Milwaukee. And I knew that, and I was like, man, whatever, I'm gonna just ask him. And then he called me back, and he was like, yeah, what's good? So you want to DJ my set? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Didn't know what the hell I was getting myself into. Like, didn't even own turntables at the time. So again, here's the importance of community art centers, and places where kids can go to nurture their hobbies into talents, into now profit yielding talents. There was a place in Milwaukee called True School, and it was an art center that catered to underserved children. They had DJ classes, MCing classes, you know, all of that. So I reached out to Sarah and I was like, yo, I need a place to practice because Prof just asked me, you know what I mean? I don't have turntables at the crib, and Josh had moved around by the time. So she let me, and that's how I got to to touch my first big stage, which was Summerfest. And that was the biggest, at the time, it was the biggest free, the biggest turnout at a free concert today. It's like 20 some odd thousand people.
Crazy.
There's that footage too. And I'd be looking like, you really don't know what the hell you was doing, but hey, whatever. Fake it till you make it.
And you got that experience though. So I want to ask you if you could speak to how important it is to dive into what you're pursuing and to be consistent with gaining knowledge. Can you talk about that? Being consistent and gaining knowledge.
Because once you touch the tip of the iceberg, Chris, it ain't no turning back. And I always say, like, and I hate to liken it to destructive behavior, but guess what? It follows any similar pattern of addiction or exposure to a high. You know, call it what you want, but that's the truth. Now, it's like, are your highs healthy? That's really what you got to look at, you know, because for me, that was a high like I'll never forget, like literally, like hours after the show, you're like, whoa, it's like, did that really happen? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh, wait, so what do I have to do in order to experience that again? You know, you got to get better. You got to practice. You got to start treating yourself like a business. You know what I mean? It's not a hobby. Like, you have to, you know, market yourself. You have to, you know, who are the best DJs in the world and what are they doing? How can you top that? You know, But you know what? It doesn't feel like a lot of work, and it's not hard because it becomes like an obsession, like a healthy obsession, you know? So you get the researching and really, really just like, and I always say, I did so much of it for so long without knowing what I was doing that I spent a lot of my career catching up to where I was. So I didn't know how fast I was moving, because it was like all of a sudden I'm getting bookings and I'm getting this and I'm getting that. And I'm like, I'm not ready. Like, I'm not ready. Well, guess what? You finna get ready. Like,
Get thrown right into that fire and turn it up.
Best way to learn. Best way to learn. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. I love to hear that, man. And it's so consistent with everything else that you've done in your career, which we're going to get to. But it sounds like when you say, like, I'm not ready, I don't get that from you, because everything that I know about you, you kind of bodied your way into the situation. So you had to really believe deep down inside that you was ready.
That's that head-ass Gemini in me, man. Like, you know, because a lot of the times I say that because I think a lot of times we're not necessarily always as honest and as transparent about our fears and our doubts as we should be. Because I have them. I'm human. Now, I also have this other side of me. It's like this. It's like, this is, and then this is the beast that's like, and then it's like, it doesn't exist. Right. It just say one word and that's it. And that's kind of how my mind operates, where it's like, okay, I'm really nervous right now. I don't know what I'm doing. And before I know it, I'm already just walked into the situation, you know? And at some point you learn to quail this side down, and you learn to just operate with, you know, that boldness and that confidence and that intentionality that you start to understand that is really at the core of who you are. Yeah. So that's at the core of who I am, you know, but I'm still human.
Exactly. You know? That's your passion, and you love it. So like you said, like, I was doing it and didn't really necessarily know what I was doing, but you loved it.
Yeah. Yeah. And Chris, it works both ways, because guess what? When you no longer feel that, and when you no longer have that drive and that intensity and that fire and that flame is not there, then you know that something's wrong. You know?
That's a bar.
Yeah.
And that's what our partners at Yellow Brick is so good at. They definitely school you on the ins and outs of a lot of the stuff that she just mentioned. So once again, y'all make sure y'all check out yellowbrick.co.
My favorite side on these days, man.
Facts. So that hustler's mentality got you to Skylar Diggins with the wrist. Skylar Diggins put you down as the DJ for her camp. And now every time I hear people speak about their journey, there's always this point where the hard work and the determination met the opportunity. Can you tell me about this whole situation with Skylar and how that got started?
I was just thinking about this yesterday, honestly, because I've been in an extremely reflective mood lately. And I also was thinking about, again, how some people have been so selfless and have given opportunity, not knowing that, like, you've got to allow God to use you. I'm sorry. So here's where we don't. No, I'm not sorry, but this is where we go into like that spiritual part. Yeah, I was just thinking about.
I said I wish I had more organs so I can get going for you.
Oh, so you get yes. Insert charge chords here. But in all honesty, like, how this happened, and again, I don't think I've ever publicly told this story either. Another exclusive. So I was doing a lot of street team work for record labels as well on the side. And I was in a lot of different listservs in the Chicago area. And I got an email one day, and it was about her camp that was coming to Chicago. And what I always asked myself, and I still do to this day, is how can I be a part of this, like, opportunity? Is it authentic? Does it make sense? And if so, how can I contribute or be a part? And so I emailed back. I'm like, yo, don't know if he needs a DJ. Don't know if he'll even want music, but I'm just saying I'm available. If so, let me know. Didn't get a response. The day before the camp, I get an email like, yep, this guy wants a DJ. can you pull up? We'll try to figure it out. Just, can you pull up? Do you have, I'm like, when, where, when, whatever, Yep. So I show up, and mind you, I'm living in Milwaukee. I'm not living in Chicago. So I drive an hour and a half. I DJ her camp. We meet, we exchange contacts, super sweet, just the biggest heart ever, and that was that. Like, that was it. So for the she only had 5 camps that year, and I couldn't travel, obviously. I had also just had a child. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Yanni was little. And so I coordinated the DJs for all of her other camps because she wanted that same energy. So that was that. Fast forward to when, and this is kind of how she plays into my career. I moved to Dallas after a lot, and I'm really depressed, really low, probably, because I moved back because of a custody battle. So like I had gone through that, and I, thank God, by the grace of God, came off on the right side and was able to move home. But I had moved away from everything that I had built over my past 6 years in the Midwest. And so I'm like in this new city, and it was awkward because while I was raised in Dallas, I didn't grow up here. So that, how that 18 to 24 window is how you make all of your connections that you can just then turn into, I didn't have that. They didn't know who Poizon Ivy was, didn't really care, And so I remember scrolling on Facebook and seeing that she was going back on the road again, but this time she had like 11 cities, 14 cities, something crazy. So a light bulb went off, like, yo, hit her up and see if you can, go on the road. And that was a crazy journey, getting back in contact with the contact person that I previously had, who no longer was in charge of her camp. But I finally, got connected back with Uncle Mo, who is her stepfather. And he was like, yo, we love having you. But the budget is tight right now, but we love having you. So just come to the cities that are close to you. You know what I mean? Boy, I flew to every city so fast. Like, and eventually, they did. And I understand, man, she was doing all that, man, like from just for the goodness of her heart with her family. Like every camp staffer was her family, brother, husband, or now husband, like mom, dad, sisters, and friends, best friends. That's it. Nobody's making $1 off of this, So I got it. But eventually, they helped out and took care of what they could take care of. And I used that opportunity to do a lot of press. And that's when I did like Sway and all of that. And man, like Scott showed me a lot of love, bro. And then obviously that time, I remember her mom being like, well, the Tulsa Shock were also moving to Dallas, coincidentally, that year. And, Auntie Renee was like, sometimes they have DJs at the games. I don't know if the Oklahoma City DJ is moving with them, but you could just call them and ask them, like, can you DJ? And so that's how I ended up with the Wings. And I always tell her, she doesn't like it when I say it, but like, truth be told, like my life would be so different without meeting Dig. So I pray I can be half of give that opportunity and pay it forward somebody else, but yeah.
That's love. They say opportunity favors the prepared, and it seems like that's exactly how you got that right there. You prepared, and whatever came at you. And with that, and then you ended up hustling your way. I'm a hustler. Ask about you, because you ended up doing you kind of, there's another little way that you got the Wings job, right? What'd you do? How'd you weasel your way in there?
I just called that's what's funny. People think that Sky called for me, or Sky didn't do anything, and I wasn't gonna let her. You know what I mean? Her allowing me to tag myself onto her camp was all I needed. And that's the thing. Like a lot of us just think that you're gonna just hop an opportunity and the opportunity is just gonna ride. No, it's not how that goes. You gotta fuel opportunity, And so I called the office, I sent the emails. Granted, yes, I was like, this is what I do, but I want, it wasn't like I in those instances, it wasn't like a name drop, but it was like, if you need a reference, yada, yada, yada. Yep. And that was also a process, because I had to, and allow me to backtrack real quick, because a lot of people, I don't know if you know this, but when I was in Milwaukee, right before I left Milwaukee, I auditioned to be the Milwaukee Bucks DJ.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yes, and so I'm just giving you all the gems that nobody had because I it's a lot of things I clearly never get to talk about, but I did, and that was what initially clued me into like sports sound strategy as a thing. And a friend of mine was like, because at the time I was going back and forth with whether I was going to live in Milwaukee or not, so I ended up auditioning. My computer died in the middle of the audition. I had no idea what I was doing. Like, it was crazy, but it was funny because at the end of that, I remember them saying, like, don't even feel bad because guess what? That's a real life possibility at a game. And now we know how you would be able to handle it, you know? I downloaded like the NBA 2K sound packs. And what they did was they lowered the center hung and they played a silent game. And you had to play the sounds for the silent game. And I was like, what? And I wasn't even using the right software or anything. I was just using like, my DJ controller or whatever. So that's kind of how I first got clued into like that being a real thing. Granted, I didn't end up getting it, but that comes full circle too. Yep. So when I got to Dallas, like I had that exposure. So I just kind of transferred it, into, at first they said it was going to be a test. I had one event to test with the Wings and then ended up staying with them for a season and a half. So
yeah. Then you hustled your way, doing something a little similar with the email situation. And you did that with the Mavericks. And you come full circle because you were a ball girl back in the day, like we said earlier. Mm-hmm. What did you tell them to convince them that you were the perfect fit for the job?
Okay, so because I'm just full of lessons, right? Here's the importance of the company that you keep. So I had a friend named Abel who had known me since I was very young, and Abel knew that I was wild about the Mavericks. Anybody who knows me, like, in high school will tell you I have always been, and that doesn't even get talked about a lot, but I have been a diehard Mavericks fan. Like my class ring has MFFL engraved on the inside. My senior blazer has Ivy MFFL Owino on the collar. So like that was just me. And he was like, yo, like I don't see why you shouldn't just like email them and ask them if you could shadow their DJ, he was like, what does it hurt? Like, you're already in the, in the family, so just do it. So I look it up because the internet and Google is a wonderful resource, everybody. And I found out who the CMO is, or who I thought was the closest contact to the position. Mm-hmm. And it was a name that I was familiar with, she was a PR intern at the time that I was a ball girl. Mm-hmm. So she, actually, I don't even know if I emailed her because of her position. I think I just emailed her because she would know who I was, just if I'm being real. Yeah. And she responded and she was like, no, right now everything's filled and we don't have an opportunity, but I'll keep you in mind. And I was like, all right, cool. So, 2 months later, I get a text from my then supervisor at the Wings, who was like, hey, it seems like the Mavs may be interested in you. Do you mind if I pass along your info? But what I didn't know at the time was he was being assisted in game directing by somebody who worked for the Legends, right? And so again, just know that whenever you're operating, you never know who's watching, because it wasn't Will's referral. It was Kyle, who happened to be at a conference with my now supervisor, and he happened to say, hey, our DJ just quit. Would you happen to know anybody? Right? Wow. Didn't find that out until like 2 years later. But yeah, so that's how that happened. When I went in, I met with my supervisor and Letson, and it probably is the interview that I have been the most confident for in my life. And I think a lot of that was, again, confirmation that that's where I was supposed to be. Because when they asked me that dreaded question, why should we hire you? And I thought about whether or not I should do this. I have this picture of me that I'm sure if you follow me on socials, you've seen at least once every year or once every 6 months. But it's me with the broom, with the green shirt, right? Yeah. And I took it to the interview with me. And I was like, well, because I grew up in this building and I don't know anybody who would know what this building should sound like more than me, I've been there when we lost the championship. I've been there like at the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. Granted, I wasn't there in 2011, but that's because God is waiting for me to be the DJ when we win the next championship. But that's what I did. That's what I did. And later, John told me, he was like, look, we wanted to hire you on the spot, but we didn't want to like rile you up that much, because he was like, that was just such a perfect like setup that how could you not, you know?
Response, like you let them know, like, yo, who can really do it like me? For real.
Ain't nobody do it like me. Right.
Girl magic. Hey! That girl magic right there, real talk. Someone like you. You feel me? So
you are taking the cake from my most favorite interview ever. You've taken it. Take it.
Do this. But now you become the second female DJ ever in the NBA. You making history. You're a pioneer. You set a goal.
Yeah.
You had a plan and you stuck to it. Yeah. Here you are today. DJing at the NBA AllStar game.
Yeah.
You've been hitting AllStar weekend for a while. Like I said before, like I saw you there.
But Chris, can I tell you a story real quick? Huh. I know I'm full of them. But there was one AllStar that I didn't get to do, which was the year that I joined the league, okay? And that was the one in New Orleans.
Oh, that's my favorite one.
Yes, and so a lot of people don't, and I think that I need to talk about this more, because regardless of whether or not I got to, that year, I didn't even have access to the game. Like, I remember walking by the Superdome or whatever it was, the arena is called, and I was like, damn, you know what? Next year. What I did do, that year, I got to DJ, like, I basically got to DJ everything that nobody wanted, right? So I just got crazy text. But anyway, yeah, so like I got the DJ this NBA Cares event outdoors while I was raining for 8 hours, but that was also where, you know, I got to meet Adam Silver for the first time. And that was an event, like, it was a great exposure event. I got the DJ. A lot of things fortuitously happened that year. I got to meet Amadou Galifal, who was the president of the BAL. That was actually on my list of things to try to do while I was there. And that would be a me and you story, but it was a setup. And I'll never forget that feeling where I was like, man, you know what? Looking at everybody going into the game and whatever else, and knowing that, all right, it might not be my turn this year, but next year.
Patience.
Yeah.
What did that accomplishment mean to you?
Everything. Like, I never forget, like, John coming in, he was like, hey, like, your name just came up in the AllStar conversation. And I was like, what? You know? And he was like, yeah, and it looks like it's AllStar Sunday. And I was like, in LA? Like, what? You know? And I mean, it's the same for Charlotte, and it's the same for Chicago. Like, it has never gotten old, and it never will. You know,
I bumped into you. Like, I bumped into you in LA too. I remember, like,
yep. I came. When did you have the event in LA, or was it in Charlotte? That was Charlotte.
Yeah, Charlotte.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's just crazy to see you always out there grinding, and once again, that hard work meets that opportunity. Lit. And I ended up just knowing you from doing, like, she the DJ and she's black and what, and I be liking.
Do you remember how we first met? This pop quiz, flipping the script. Do you remember? Okay, I didn't put you on the spot, but I remember what it was, because I would always see you, and I'm like, bro, he stayed with some really fly kicks. And so I introduced myself, I think at some point when you were on the floor, but I do it a lot just to people who I think are interesting, not necessarily because I know who they are, I don't know, like, I just go off of vibes, but I often get met with the other energy. And I'm like, all right, cool. I just want to let you know that I think you were fly, or hi, I want to know who you are, whatever. But your energy was like, yeah, I'm from New York, but this, you know.
I don't know. Word.
But I loved it. You've just been an amazing person, an amazing spirit from not even knowing before I even told you who I was or what I did. Like you was just like great energy, you know.
Yeah, energy is what I live off of. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I'm a ball of that. So
Yeah.
now when I meet that, and whether you that or you not, I'm gonna turn you up either way. So
Right.
that was us. And then speaking of that, I just, like you said, the energy was so real, and I loved you throughout that whole entire year. We used to stop and see each other. Your kid game was stupid all the time too. I see you on the court. We say what up. You a celeb on the low too, because people be stopping to say, take pictures of you. I'm waiting my turn. Let me wait till she's done before I go holler at her. Get their little picture out of the way. I mean, what up? Like, I love that. I appreciated your vibe, your music taste, your all of that about you. So then we end up kicking it at my event back in the fall of 2017, I want to say. I had my annual book bag drive, and this year it was out in Dallas, and Ivy had to be the DJ for my event. She came through and she did what she always does. She had the spot rocking at the sneaker store. We gave away book bags, gear, all the good stuff for the kids. We did shopping sprees, and she just provided that vibe like she'd been doing since the Marquette days. But one thing that I noticed was you brought your daughter with you. Yeah. And I see you bring your daughter to a lot of your events, and she eats it up. Can you speak on just being a role model in music, or just for anyone, for young women looking up to you? Like, how does it make you feel knowing that women are looking at you and realizing they can create their own lane in a male-dominated space?
Man, it's funny. Every time somebody tells me that they met my daughter, like with me, either at work or an event or something, I have to like think back and I think like, dang, was that a day that I wanted to bring her, or was it a day that I had to bring her? You know what I mean? And I kind of tear up or like choke up on the inside a lot, because me and that little girl been through a whole heck of a lot. You know what I mean? So a part of it is, you know, being a single mother ain't no joke. Like, and I don't say that, like, first of all, I caveat that a lot, because I'm like, yes, I don't want to discredit her father, because her father is ever present and active in her life. So I don't like for us to perpetuate that notion of absent fathers, especially in the Black community, if we just chose to go our separate ways. I don't think that, you know, Black men have to suffer for that. But in the sense of us being married or in a household, like, no, I do it alone here when she's with me, and then, you know, like she's with him now, you know. So it's tough though, because, you know, like, and I love my grandmother to death. I love my mother to death. They hold me all the way down. But sometimes, like, it's just not, I also don't want to like overly use them, you know what I mean? Because I use them a lot. And I don't, they probably they don't like when I say that, but I'm like, if it's an event that's family oriented, there's kids, whatever, come on, we going, you know? I think a lot of it too is, I want her to see the world. I want her to see experiences. I'm pretty sure I talked to her either on the way there or on the way back about how some kids aren't fortunate enough to have mommies and daddies who can, you know, get them the best of whatever that they want, or even anything at all. You know what I mean? And so this is why we have to do this. And, you know, this is why we're giving away backpacks. And this is why, you know, mommy's there to, you know, entertain, and entertainment changes moods. And, you know, it's mommy's also there to work. So, you know, she is at that age where she thinks I'm the coolest thing ever.
You are though.
Pretty sure for now to her, like, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure I want her to eat that up. One, I know there's a time she won't want me around anymore, but two, also, I want her to build a work ethic. You know, you don't get to know, like, mommy gets to stand up at work all the time. When mommy comes home and mommy says she's tired, I need to know when mommy's tired, you know? Because you're probably tired too. Or like, I just want her to be able to have a whole grasp of what my life looks like. I don't want my life to be a mystery to her. I think when you think back to us growing up, like, work, I don't know, but work was a mystery. Like, I just knew that they worked, there was money, and we were provided for. But I think that does our children a disservice. You know what I mean? Because they need to start knowing what that entails, not at 18, but at 6 and 5. or maybe even 4, you know?
Yeah.
So some parts necessity at times, some parts very much intentional. And now when I take her to work, she has roles, like, you know, everybody, whole team effort.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you feel about being that example to other women that want to work in a male-dominated space, whether it's in music or it's in like a sports agent or whatever? Like, how do you feel being a role model?
Funny, that was the second part of my answer. Michelle Obama, I cry every single time I read and see that story and that picture of her taking Sasha with her to an interview because her babysitter bailed. You know what I mean? But I also think it was God set up for her to be able to have that testimony and say that when she got, because, you know, sometimes you feel like you have to justify why your kid is with you at work. Not everybody is a DJ and I could just be like, here, go play, go run. You know, some people have other more structured jobs per se. But like she said, if you can't accept this, then you can't accept me, you know? There is no separating Kiani from Ivy. Some days Kiani might not physically be there, but guess what? Kiani is always mentally, and she's always here, you know? So if I come to work and I'm worried or I'm sick or I'm sad or I'm happy or I'm whatever, you're gonna forever share her with me, you know?
Yep.
And I want every other woman, whether it be from entertainment, sports, music, nursing, I don't care, you know? Don't ever feel like it's something you have to apologize for. Because we're like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, nah, I'm not sorry. You know?
I hate you.
If it's appropriate, sure. If it's not, please understand that is my first job. I always say, oh, no, that's my first obligation. There's no, you know, arguing with that.
That's it.
So if you can't accept that you will forever come second to me being a mom, and I'm being transparent about it from the get-go, don't say I tell you so. Yeah, don't tell you don't say I did not tell you so.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What advice do you have for the young DJs out there?
Game is changing. The game is changing. Take note. Take note. The game's been changing, I should say, but the game is currently changing. So take note of what that looks like. Learn the digital space. Master the digital space. Don't get caught up in that, you know, old school, new school DJ thing. Nah. Go where the tide and the momentum is going. You know, be innovative. Don't be afraid to take risks. Stop trying to fit into molds. Stop trying to find somebody to be like and be like them. Just be yourself, you know?
It's a bar.
And because I think that especially in the entertainment space, we do that a lot. Try to mimic after somebody or whatever. It's not bad to have role models or anything, but right now the space is so wide open for anything. Be daring, you know, be bold. So yeah.
Yeah. Words right there.
Yeah. And also, there's been no revolution that hasn't been accompanied with music. So be a part of this revolution and figure out how to use music as a tool. It's the loudest tool we will ever have. So we're currently going through one right now. Align yourself accordingly. So
I heard it, DJs. I hope y'all paying attention, man. You can take from anybody. I just will take it from. What is the best part about being an in-game DJ? Because I know that it's way different from like the club.
Yeah. I've actually started branding myself in really that sector as you know, like the sports sound strategy sector, because there's definitely that part that I want people to understand. There's a strategy to everything. I'm one of the few DJs in the league that truly controls all the sound, like all of it. I know a lot of DJs, and no, not because there's great ones, and we're currently looking at maybe adopting that model. I play from doors open to when you leave. The greatest part is I feel like I'm a choir master. And I'm not gonna say, look, I like control. It is what it is. Like, you just be, and I feel like I have ultimate control, like over it's like a movie. Like I always, here's one thing, I always like to score movies. So think about when you're watching a movie in Dolby Sound and whatever, and it's like rise and fall and like, you know, it's just the adrenaline, bro. I've been getting withdrawals, bro. I watched our intro video yesterday after a long time, and I was just like, wow, like, you know, but it's really truly more so the fact that you get to be at the core of people coming to a game and losing themselves for 2.5 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
And you can definitely tell when I'm having a bad day. You know, you could tell. You could definitely tell. I could tell, you know.
Someone with the music?
Yeah. Yeah. Just because it's an energy transfer. Right. Know? So it's a blessing. I mean, I get to work for my favorite team. Yeah. You know, I get to literally, I don't know what else I could be doing that could be cooler.
Real talk. And you out like right now, like that's one of the cooler teams too, because Luka out there.
I will never forget, like when we went to China right after we had drafted Luka, and I'd never seen Luka play or even heard his name. Not even gonna lie, until after the draft. So then we get the plane, we play this preseason game against Philly, and we get back on the plane. And he's sitting next to Boban, I'm pretty sure. Or no, it was Salah. It was Salah at the time. And I remember looking at him and being like, yo, you're really good.
He's so nice.
He was like, thank you. In his head, he probably would have been like, but I say all that to say that was a glimpse of what the next God knows how many years are going to look like. And
21. That's crazy. That's crazy. I like the Mavericks in the playoffs this year. I think that they're the one of two teams that may be able to beat the Lakers. I just like how they look. I like how they looked against the Lakers this year during the regular season.
I've been saying, bro, I mean, I'm biased, so it is what it is, but I'm like, this look real 2011-y. And I know people don't like that comparison because that was such a special team.
Magical.
You know what I mean? But
Luka's special like Dirk too, though.
But what's crazy is like you said, bro is 21. Like, it doesn't even feel right to say it. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Like, the league is a notice for the next 2 decades. You feel me?
30-point triple-double in his second year in the league. Yikes. That's crazy.
All I'm going to say is I said all I want is one ring, but I'm here for it.
You might get a couple. We never know.
I'm trying to get my Jordan to
For real, yo. For real. He the plug.
Out to the plug.
I'm back, baby, with the love. Man.
Yeah, look, I'm about to say, look, you listen, I'm happy, bro. It's I love, you know, like I said, I never played ball like that, never wanted to, but my knowledge of the sport is crazy, and my love for the sport has never been so fervent, just especially you know, because of the leadership of so many different athletes and how they're using their platforms and really and just the league in general, all top down, Adam Silver, Mark Cuban, you know, like St. Marshall, Bron, like, you know, the Lucas, the Dirks, the Kate, like everybody who is just adding to a piece of like the social justice conversation through sport, which is ultimately what my longer career goal is to, you know, to go back home and really talk about and hopefully help institute that social awareness and change, and a lot of that can be facilitated through investment in sport. So
I love that. That's a good word right there. Yeah. Before we get out of here, I got a quick African question for you. It's just how often do you get back to Nairobi? Because I know that recently you did something big at the crib. I don't know if I think that was last year, was it?
Yeah, last year. I'll be there right now, honestly, if you want from Ms. Rona or Mr. Rona, whichever one we're going to give him today. Like, a lot. I honestly hadn't gone back. When I moved here in 99, I hadn't gone back. When I went back when I was 21, that was my first time going back. And a lot of it, honestly, you know, when you're in college, is scheduling, right? So I was heavily involved in stuff my whole life. And so post-graduation, I kind of started to have a little bit more control of my own schedule and then my budget as well. Mm-hmm. And so I've been there every summer, at least once or twice a year since 2014.
Okay.
I love it, man. Like, and I love it. I wouldn't, if I can't be anywhere else, that's where I'm always am. So,
Word.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. I'm really hyped to see what you do moving forward, because I know you got big plans moving forward here as well as over there in Nairobi, because I'm sure you get better as you grow each and every single year. So I'm hyped to see you do that, man. I'm loving all of your accomplishments to this point, and I know you got so much more to do. You look amazing. I can't wait to hit another Mavericks game to check you out, but I'm sure I'll see you at an AllStar weekend if I don't. And, yeah, man, I wanna thank everybody for checking in out in the chat, showing love, and watching us do our thing. We're gonna post this video up on the Yellow Brick site as well as my Kicking It YouTube page.
Before you wrap up, can I just thank you for having me? Thank you for this platform. Thank you for just being like a really good example of what it means to be able to blend, interest and faith, and service. Like, I think that's something that this generation so desperately needs more of. And I may have never told you this face to face, but allow me to tell you now, like, you're definitely an inspiration, like, to me. And you're definitely an example. And I'm so blessed to have you not only as a friend, but as a partner in crime and, a peer and all of that. And I just wish that, we can continue this and be more of, like, spread it. You know what I mean?
From here, for sure.
Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yellow Brick to Kicking It and all of that.
Yep. Thank you for that word, man. That means a lot, and that's real. So I appreciate that. But like, iron sharpens iron, so we're gonna both continue to sharpen each other up.
For sure.
Thank you, and like you said, thank Yellow Brick. Y'all make sure y'all check out yellowbrick.co. Check out the Music Industry Essentials program. And yeah, man, thank you to everybody for checking us out. But before I get out of here, I want to make sure that y'all always remember that Black lives will always matter.
Always have.
Sure. You're going to drive that point home forever. But until next time, Ivy, thank you once again. And
I'm just putting two up, chucking up the juice now.
We out, baby.
I love it. Thanks, Chris. Thank you, everybody.
We out.